Yo, what's going on, YouTube, and welcome back to Goal Line Hockey. It's your boy Kevin Forte, and well, the frights are coming a little bit late here for the Pittsburgh Penguins, as going early into November, they are being haunted with some of the same things that we saw from the Pittsburgh Penguins last season. Can you take a guess? Injuries and the injury bug. It's coming pretty much on schedule for the Pittsburgh Penguins, and we're going to be going over that today. So, for the first part of the season, the Pittsburgh Penguins were without Evgeny Malkin and Sidney Crosby, two very big pieces of this team, and everybody had just assumed, well, they'll find a way, right? But there was some questions about this team. They found a way to win hockey games. They played a little bit of a different mentality. Mike Sullivan was able to get those guys to buy into the, always keep the puck in front of you, keep the puck between you, or keep yourself between the puck and the goaltender. And they did a really good job of that. The problem is it's starting to get to the point now where they are so depleted at depth that they're starting to get more injured, and the injuries are now piling up one after another. As guys take more minutes and more minutes, they're becoming workhorses that just get overworked, and they end up on the injured reserve. So since October 30th, since the day before Halloween, the Pittsburgh Penguins now have 5 players on the injured reserve, and they're, for the most part, most of them pretty important players to the Penguins team. They're all starting players on the Penguins roster. We'll go that far. So Brian Rust, on October 30th, placed on the injured reserve. He had a lower body injury. He took the ice in a non-contact jersey for Saturday morning skate. So it's been a little while, but he may be coming back to return in the next week, hopefully. November 1st, the day after Halloween, Chad Roweedle and Marcus Pettersson, two defensemen that are probably in the top 6 of your defense, they are both gone. And Marcus Pettersson's actually had a pretty good start to the season. That's a pretty big loss there. So 2 defensemen gone. Another center gone, despite Malkin already being gone. Jeff Carter was placed on COVID protocol last week. Another guy off your roster. Chris Letang was scratched a couple of nights. He wasn't feeling too great either. Add him to the list. And now November 3rd, and this is where things it's like, shit. Like, is Pittsburgh gonna get an opportunity to have a healthy roster this season? So just as Sidney Crosby played his first game back Saturday, here we are on yesterday, Tuesday, talking about Sidney Crosby being placed on the injured reserve again. He is out. So within a week of Sidney Crosby being healthy, he was practicing with the team on their first road trip to start the season. He's been around the team. Jeff Carter, COVID protocol, and now it looks like Dumoulin and Crosby are both out on the COVID protocol list as well. They are both on the injured reserve, which to some extent you could probably figure out what their status is at this point. They probably have tested positive, and they are probably out. And those are some key losses. I mean, Dumoulin has missed a lot of hockey now for the past 2 or 3 years now, just unable to stay in the lineup, and it's got to be frustrating for him. Sidney Crosby, I mean, talk about frustrating. He gets just a taste of being back in the NHL. He plays 2 or 3 games. Oh yeah, and you're on the injured reserve again. It's a never-ending thing for the Penguins. A very, very frustrating start for this Penguins team. They still are without Carter. They're still without Malkin. And here we are, the Pittsburgh Penguins, a Wilkes-Barre-Scranton Penguins team, is what we're going to see on the ice. And just a couple weeks ago, they beat the Toronto Maple Leafs at home, a 7-1 victory, and that seemed like, that was the turning point that they were going to do well this year, and then they would carry that momentum with Crosby back in and some of these guys coming back. That's not necessarily the case for the Penguins. And now, at this point, a team that was toward the top of the standings in the beginning of the season now finds themselves at the bottom of the Metropolitan Division as the Islanders start to creep up. As Columbus still comes down to form, New Jersey, they're still ahead of them. So Pittsburgh, man, can't really like what I've seen from the Penguins here recently. They have all of a sudden dropped to 3-2 on the season, despite a really good start. That Florida road trip and coming up the coast and beating some good teams. Pittsburgh's not looking that great all of a sudden, and you're kind of left scratching your head saying, are they ever going to have a healthy team for us to even figure out if this team is legit or not? And you look at the Penguins' schedule, I mean, it's not going to get any easier. They have their game with their in-state rival, the Keystone rivalry. You have the Philadelphia Flyers coming into town tonight. That'll be a big game. The Flyers have looked pretty good this year. You have Minnesota coming into Pittsburgh. And then you go on a little back-and-forth road trip. You go to Chicago next Tuesday. You play Florida at home. And then you go for a little road trip playing Ottawa and Washington. And then you have a home game against Buffalo. Yeah, so they're going to be playing a lot of road games here up until Thanksgiving. Because then they go for the northeastern Canadian division area, because then they played Ottawa, right? Have a couple games at home. Then they play Montreal, Toronto, and Winnipeg on the road up till Thanksgiving. So it's going to be a rough stretch here for the Pittsburgh Penguins, and I just don't know what they're really going to do. They have a lot of young guys on this team. You're relying a lot more on guys like Brian Boyle, Danton Heinen, guys that you brought in this summer, bringing back Dominic Simone, Teddy Bluger, who we've seen a little bit of. But you're expecting a lot from guys that we just don't know where they're really at. And you're looking at defensemen. I mean, you're looking at probably more of Mark Friedman. That was something that was discussed this summer. Was he a top 6 defenseman? He's going to be playing more than that now. So this is a team that just doesn't seem to have caught a real break in terms of the injury front in the past 2 or 3 years now. And here it comes on schedule. The Pittsburgh Penguins finding a little bit of adversity in their organization. And the problem is they haven't been able to draft the way they were. And now we're looking at the Penguins as a team that's lacking a little bit of depth and lacking a little bit of that, that juice that you normally get from guys like Malkin and Crosby and Letang. And you don't have those 3 guys. It really hurts what the culture is there in Pittsburgh. That locker room looks very different with those 3 guys not in the room. And that's always something that Penguins fans have feared for a while now. It's just now we're starting to get to the point where we're seeing it more frequently. And it is a little bit concerning here. Will the goaltending stay as good as they have been? That's asking for a lot. Jari was really good to start the year, but all of a sudden his numbers kind of coming back to form a little bit. So, again, there's a lot of questions in Pittsburgh, a lot more questions than answers, but at the end of the day, the only way you fix that is by winning hockey games. And again, easier said than done. But in this Metropolitan Division, if you're the Penguins, you don't really have the ability to kind of, have a little bit of a slump and, pick up, say, 3 or 4 points in 10 games. You can't really afford to do that because this division is just it is cutthroat. And you're seeing it right now at the top with Carolina, arguably the best team in the NHL. You have some, pretty solid teams there toward the top as well. You have the Islanders, the Rangers, the Capitals, the Flyers, all looking really good. And who knows when New Jersey, some of their, they're like New Jersey. They're having some injury issues. And in the beginning of the season, guys, I had Pittsburgh missing the postseason because I'm waiting for that season where Pittsburgh finally kind of, quote unquote, hypothetically hits the wall and all of a sudden they aren't a playoff team anymore. I think we are closer to that than we are this team being a legit Stanley Cup contender again. So a little bit of a down video here for the Penguins fans out there, but let me know in the comment section down below, what do you want to see from some of the younger guys in the organization? Because there's going to be some change here from the Pittsburgh Penguins. And hey, listen, when there's injuries, what does that mean? It means another opportunity for maybe one of the young guys to step up and assert themselves in this team. And, you're seeing a little bit more of guys like Drew O'Connor. You're seeing some guys that maybe you haven't heard of before. Brock McGinn, who was with Carolina for a while. Juuso Ricola, Pierre-Olivier Joseph. Some of these guys, John Marino, probably hearing more about them than you'd probably like. But at the end of the day, that is the situation. That is the NHL, a grinding NHL season. You kind of have to just deal with that. And I think for the most part, Pittsburgh's done a good job, but I think we're starting to see it catch up with them. And here real quick, I'll show you guys some of the depth. I know Samuel Poulin has been a guy everybody's been talking a lot about. He was a former first-round pick. Kind of fell under the radar this past season. But like I said, this whole thing here with Crosby and Dumoulin, it is a little bit concerning here for the Penguins. Sam Lafferty is still here. Looking at some other guys. I mean, you look at the guys on the IR. I mean, you have 5 guys there. Crosby, Letang, Dumoulin, Pettersson, and Ruhwedel. I mean, it's just... And Brian Rust. So, yeah, okay. So, basically, you have Crosby, Letang, Dumoulin, Pettersson, and Ruhwedel. They're all on COVID protocol. They're on the non-roster. And then Brian Rust, unrelated to COVID, he is on the injured reserve. And then on the long-term injured reserve is Malkin. So, it's just injury after injury. You have Jan Droge, Samuel Poulin, Valtteri Pustinen. We've heard of some of these guys before. Philip Hallander, a guy they picked up in that trade with Jared McCann this past summer. And a guy like Philip Lindbergh in between the pipes. Probably won't see him this year. But again, it's going to be interesting what happens in Pittsburgh. Honestly, I think this is the year that the Penguins finally fall off because like I said, I keep saying the word depth. In this division, there's too much depth in this division that I just don't know if Pittsburgh's going to be able to keep up. You're not going to be able to, limp your way into, the New York teams. You can't just, even the Devils, who are crippled and injured in their own right, I still don't think you could beat them completely. It's not like a walk win. The Rangers are coming out of a rebuild. You're not getting that one. The Islanders, we know where they're at. They're a good hockey team. And now you have the Flyers. They seem like they're having a bounce back year. The scary teams in this, the old Southeast, Carolina and Washington, they're firing on all cylinders. So there is no really easy team in that division. Even Columbus, we're seeing some goal. I think Boone Jenner, the new captain, he's already got 6 goals or something like that on the season. So again, a really good start, but I think we're starting to see some of the issues for Pittsburgh that, Penguins fans have probably been seeing for a while. It's just being more exposed on a bigger stage right now. So guys, as always, let me know what you think in the comment section down below. What do you think of the Pittsburgh Penguins? Is this the year that the Pittsburgh Penguins finally lose that playoff streak? This would be the first time since Sidney Crosby came into the end, and Evgeny Malkin, the first time in the Sidney Crosby, Evgeny Malkin era, that the Pittsburgh Penguins would be missing the Stanley Cup playoffs. Is this that year? Let me know down below. Guys, as always, thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you again next time.